All right, I've had this Tonex box for about a week now. I just want to make a quick first impression video, and you can see I made an earlier video this week where I show how to control the Tonex and switch the reverb, delay, modulation, and compression off using the HX effects, or actually any Line 6 pedal that has a few foot switches. I have the HX Stomp as well, XL, and I will upload that preset, the Line 6 preset, so that you can just put it, if you have any of these pedals to control the Tonex, I will add it to the Tonex folder in that zip file that you can download. Again, thank you again to all the people that donated, a few donations recently. It's great to see people are enjoying the sounds that I make, and I will add these presets that I'll be talking about today to the same zip file. You'll find all the links in the description and a pinned comment, as always. So I'm quite impressed so far with the Tonex. As I said, I've only had it for a week. The sounds are quite organic, they're quite nice. I have to say, just out of the box, it feels better than the Line 6 stuff. Line 6 is notorious for needing a bit more work to get some good sounds, like the presets are not as good. Where I would say the Tonex, if you do a couple of things that I've noticed right away, it's more like an amp would feel. I'll just put it that way. Like if you had an amp in front of you with a microphone, and especially with the mid-gain sounds, which are notoriously difficult to get right. Those are really they're really good. And again, I made 6 presets that I will add to the Tonex folder in the zip file. So the one that I played in the intro is just a clean sound with some modulation. If I turn everything off, this is sound. I can add some reverb. Yeah, and a delay. In that, you can tap tempo, you can see. Okay, and there's some compression. There's a little lift and some modulation, which is just a chorus. Classic, 80s kind of thing. The second one is like a slightly overdriven. A bit of like a Rolling Stone type. Okay, that kind of thing. And the next one is quite overdriven. Bit of a kind of Lukather kind of thing. If you use the modulation, it's definitely more in that kind of Lukather kind of vibe. So this is the other clean. It's more like a sparkly clean to play funk stuff, More that type of thing, or is that kind of sound. Then another clean that is a bit more like fuller. And you can add, of course, they all have delay, reverb, and all with tap tempo. And they all have modulation as well, usually a chorus, but you can change it. And then this is again. Yeah, that's the type of sound, really. All of these have compression, modulation, reverb. So if you want to switch them on and off, they're all already, good to go, so to speak. So I just wanted to make these to use it during gigs. But as I said, I've only had this pedal for a few days, so I'm still learning how to get the most out of it. And I must say that I've found some pros and cons. The pros obviously have the sounds, like out of the box, these sounds, I would say more closer to an amp, because obviously there are these as profiling, let's just call it that way, versus modular, which is the line 6 really. Like it's line 6 is a modular, this is a profiler. It's two different things. It feels great. Definitely, it feels more. It's more dynamic. It's a rounder feel, so to speak. When you dig in, it feels closer to an amp for sure. And it's relatively easy to understand. Obviously, as I laid out, like a pedal, treble bass and all that, and it's clearly labeled. I want to say I would have gone for something different in terms of the screen, because obviously the Line 6 Stomp has a clearer screen where you can really understand what's going on. Sometimes this kind of like a scrolling display, I think, is not as clear as something like a phone, so to speak, where everything is always there and the menus are clearly labeled, so to speak. But then obviously this reflects on the price point. This is only £300 new, so it's at least in the UK. So for the money, you're getting a lot of sound, especially after the update with the reverbs, delays, and all that. So it's hopefully they will continue in that direction, because I think the sounds are great, the reverbs are great, the lead delays are great. There isn't a lot, but it's very high quality. I really like that, especially from a company like IK Multimedia that has a lot of experience in plugins and studio sounds versus Line 6, which I think now is owned by Yamaha, which is mainly being just a guitar brand, so to speak, that I have the same sound, the same software in different formats, cheaper or more expensive, can go from the Stomp to the full floor Helix floor to, the pod, different versions of pods. But roughly it's the same idea replicated in different formats, where I think IK Multimedia has so many different, it's mainly a plugin company, but it has hardware that you can use to like interfaces. And, this is probably one of the few, the Tonex and Tonex One are only one of the few that are guitar only, so to speak. So I can understand that it might be a bit more, I don't want to say behind, but still work in progress compared to Line 6, so to speak, because they've not been around for as long as Line 6. In terms of the quality of the unit itself, the quality is great. I would have wanted to see, actually, one thing I've noticed, I would have loved to see infinite scrolling knobs, rather than, because the knobs for the gain, bass, mid, treble, and volume go from, let's say, 0 to 12, and then they stop, or 0 to 10, and then they stop. And the problem is that sometimes when you go to a new preset and you want to try to change the reverb, on a Line 6 pedal, you would basically pick up from where the level is and turn it up or down, where this physically picks up where the notch is on the knob. And let's say if you have not a lot of reverb and the knob from the previous preset is on 12 or 10 at the maximum, you have this burst or reverb, and then, which is not great for live. You don't want to change something that goes from 0 to 100. You don't want that. So I would have loved to see infinite knobs, so that basically picks up from where the volume or the reverb or the treble is in that moment, and then turns it down or up, so to speak. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Line 6 have this kind of knobs, so to speak, and a lot of other units. But in general, it's quite easy to use, and it's quite easy to understand. This is the pedal itself. Once you get into the software, I find it very confusing. I mean, I've been using IK Multimedia stuff before. I was already using the basic version of Tonex and Amplitude. But then when you put the two things together, the pedal, the hardware, and the software, I can't say that they work very well. And it's not as obvious as the Line 6 stuff, where you just have that editor and you can edit the pedal directly. That doesn't happen. Like, the two things seem to be separated. Like you can edit the sound on the plugin, and then you can load it on the unit, on the hardware, or you can edit the sound on the hardware, and then you can load it on the plugin. So, but there is no direct yet, as far as I know, there is no direct way. I don't have an app. I don't have the app because I don't have any like Apple products. I know there's an app, but I don't know how that would, if it's the same logic. I don't know if there's the way, like edit sounds for line 6 is, you can edit the sounds on the laptop or whatever device you have, and that changes the sound and saves the sound directly on the unit, on the hardware. That's not the case with Tonex. You either make the sounds on the plugin and then upload them on the hardware, or make the sound the hardware and then upload it on the plugin. So you're constantly going back and forth. This doesn't make too much sense to me. I'm not sure why there isn't yet a. So this has been around for a couple of years now. I wonder why there isn't yet an editor that does this directly, so to speak. But I guess that for a key multimedia, this is just a very small part of the company, like the next thing. So one thing that I found, a couple of things that I found that weren't quite. I don't want to be just negative, because obviously I love the sounds and I love the pedal, and I will definitely be using this for gigs. I found a couple of things that were a bit weird. Like there's an input trim, and the plugin and the pedal don't sound the same because the input trim on the pedal is set quite high. There's like an 8 dB boost, and I'm not quite sure if it's just my setup. I had to put that down to 0 because I used the trim as like the input gain at 0 in my interface. So I was wondering. I'm not quite sure what the deal is with that. But that was one of the things that I had to change. And also I had to change, because the foot switches, when you press them down, they change the sound on the release of the foot switch, not on the press of the foot switch, which I found to be a bit weird, because there's always a bit of, sometimes also by habit, you just leave your foot on the foot switch, and that wouldn't change the sound. You have to remove your foot from the foot switch. Also, once I changed that into changing the sound when you press, the up and down bank, because you can push 2 foot switches together to go up and down in the banks, that stopped working. And that's a bit weird. That's definitely a glitch in the software. So I found quite a few things along the way, this kind of small things that are kind of annoying, so to speak. And I'm pretty sure I will find some more, because none of these units are perfect. But I have to say that I hope that we'll continue to update in the patches, because the sounds are fantastic. The sounds are really, really good. And I've not even started I've not even gone into the profiling, because obviously I will make the sounds on my pedals, and I will upload them eventually in that zip file. I've not looked into that yet, but it seems quite straightforward, as well as other things I'm pretty sure that I will discover as I go. But in general, I wanted to make a quick video in terms of a first impression of the unit, and it's obviously positive. The sounds are great. I've not even gone into finding either other amps and pedals that are out there already profiled. So I'm pretty sure we'll get into that, as well as making my own. Yeah, I mean, if you have any experience with this pedal, please add it in the comments. If you have any other things that you want to add, any things that I should check out, please add them in the comments. I'm obviously very much into the adding things to that zip file with all the presets. It seems to be quite popular, which is great, and I want to keep growing that selection of patches. Obviously, this pedal board I've not gone for looks yet. Obviously, I will fix everything and make it look a bit better, and add a few things, obviously like a wah pedal and a volume pedal, an expression pedal, or a couple of just generic overdrives. And probably I will not use the full HX effects. I will use the Stomp XL, or even just the MIDI patch thing. I will buy a dedicated MIDI thing to control the Tonex, because that makes sense actually. Yeah, that's about it really. If you as always, if you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, so that's great. You keep subscribing, share through social media, through friends. And as always, check out the zip file and all my other PDFs, educational stuff. I add educational lessons as well. I hate calling it a lesson. It's just I'm sharing my knowledge, so I share what I do. And yeah, that's about it, really. Take care. Bye-bye.